Yes, episode 6, Daredevil Born Again. What is this episode called, Robert?
Excessive force.
Which is what it's going to take to get me to keep watching this show. Excessive force.
I'll just put you in a jail cell like Adam. Hey.
And as before, we've already seen this episode. Yes, you've already seen it?
I've already seen it, yes.
All right, cool.
Skip the recap. Oh, look, there's MUSE. We missed them last episode. Skip recap. We're going to come in with the intro? No.
Skip recap.
Start with the BB.
I'm at 111.
Let's see.
Starting, yep, like you said, BB.
Came at 113. Let me go back a little bit. Is this the episode? 112 is good. All right, ready?
Oh, I was going already, but yeah.
Oh.
Where you at? You said 113?
Hold on. I paused it. I'm at 116.
116? Okay, let me get there to 116. Okay, I'm at 116. Ready when you...
All right. 3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
The BB report.
Again with the cop hate.
So why are we lingering on this? Is this supposed to be...
I know, with that A24 zoom in slow motion shot.
Just thought that, I mean, if that was supposed to be Bastion, that's kind of cool though.
Yeah.
Reminding you that this episode did take place. So I'm going to pause it. Him doing this right here, does this not seem like it would be a recap, right?
You said you paused it?
No. I'm going to posit this whole thing like, okay, him recapping everything that's happened in the previous episodes. Doesn't that seem like this probably was originally supposed to be like an episode 10? You know what I mean? Like if we were having an 18 episode season, the first 9 could have been all that. And then him having this, hey, remember catching up the viewers without an actual recap? Because, you know, we all skip the recap.
Yeah.
That's just what it seemed like to me.
Like previously on Daredevil.
Yeah, like just another Thursday. Which one was Victor again?
He
does those facial.
The other guy.
Those facial like takes so well.
I thought he was gonna stab him with the pin. Amazing, what a little prick.
Yep. Man. Poking the bear.
Like a shoulda.
We skipped the recap intro. All right. Boom. The music is growing on me though.
That's because it has the old school.
Yeah.
It's what your heart really wants.
Yep.
This is Homeboy from the bank robbery, right?
I think so, yeah. Had an interesting week. Wait, a curve? And I mean, I probably killed the curve in most classes, so it's fine. 60 victims, and they're just now. I mean, I imagine you go after homeless, right? Like people who won't create a fuss about people going missing.
Yeah.
Got a point. So Luca and Victor are for sure 2 of the 5.
So there's a Luca and there's a Victor. And they're bad?
Yeah, right?
Jack.
Makes sense, though. He is one of the New York elites.
Yeah. Was it? Isn't it the kid though? Oh no, it is him, right? And then the kid.
Yeah. Too much pasta.
From all the night beatings.
60 victims is a lot.
Yeah.
No.
Fisk's Roughnecks. Motivated individuals.
It's like saying we had a dialogue.
Injecting them all with extremists.
Yep. Like, why would you even do this?
Because she's
Like,
stupid.
I'm a grown adult and I wouldn't even do this, even in the daylight. Like, okay, that's probably I'd probably do this. Not you're not you're yeah.
Because
No,
that's what her uncle told her to do, Robert.
her uncle was well, not really, but yeah. And look what happened to her uncle though.
It was the cops who killed her uncle, Robert.
So we're gonna go to a potential base of a serial killer with a body count of 60.
Yes, because no one cares.
Still love that costume.
Mm-hmm. Got my Halloween costume, man.
Gonna stitch together some canvas.
Oh yeah.
Can you imagine how hot that would be? Like,
Do it.
no. But he did. Like a hammer. Yeah, he's back. I do like how these two fights are interconnected. I mean, did he take the thing out?
I think he did in the middle
Okay.
of the fight.
I know he was like standing over her, but
Ooh.
when in doubt, just beat it, I guess. Dun dun dun. That concludes episode 6, Excessive Force.
Yes, it does.
Episode only clocked in at 40 minutes.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Well, yeah, it's bad. It's a bad thing.
Yeah, because I mean, I feel like there's still just so much more that they can explore. Like, use like an extra 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes to explore more. I mean, I enjoyed this. Like, when this episode dropped, we got both episodes, right? Episode 5 and 6, which, that's fine. I mean, everything we said about episode 5 notwithstanding, then we got this episode, which picks up kind of where episode 4 left off, which is better, and what I was looking forward to after episode 4. But I mean, you can kind of see where some of these plot lines are starting to come together. The Vigilante Task Force, which we knew was going to be a big thing. MUSE was going to be the villain for this season, potentially for the season, even though that doesn't happen. But we kind of can see some of the breadcrumbs coming in. But again, I just wish there was more that they could have. Don't get me wrong. Again, I like the episode. I just wish there was more. And I feel like that's going to be my gripe for most of the season, because like most of the episodes on Netflix were an hour long, 55 minutes. These are like the season premiere was an hour long, and then everything else after that's been like 40 minutes, 42 minutes, which is kind of like for standard television if you exclude the commercials. Like, there's just so much more depth that you could add to some of these other characters, because like, I mean, we saw what's his name, Buck and Daniel, for like what,
Yeah.
a minute. Like, we're supposed to like Buck just as much as we like Wesley, but I mean, I liked Wesley right from the jump. But
Yeah, you
You
know
know?
why? It's because it's better writing.
Yeah. Yeah, I
And
mean,
an
that's
actual
what it comes down
story.
to it. That's what it comes down to it. I mean,
Characters, what?
I love I
Story?
love I love the Muse, and that was what I was really looking forward to this for the season. So I'm kind of glad we're getting into it. But yeah, um, and again, I still love his character design. I like his overall story. I wish we would have got to it sooner, or you can build him up over the whole season, and while doing the other stuff like the five families, Vanessa being Kingpin, Fisk being the mayor. You can do how that clashes between their you know relationship. But I mean, overall, it's a decent episode.
This episode is a victim of circumstance, meaning that it is paying for the sins of the previous episode. So, like I said, the, this is why I'm so upset with episode 5
Yeah,
is because this throws everything off. It throws it all off, but it also does something very important. It reveals and it shows that they're literally just pulling it out of their, like,
yeah,
they have had 9 episodes to give us this is Daredevil born again. Born again. This is saying like, hey, like it might as well have called it, Daredevil Phoenix
right.
or something to show like this is like, when I hear born again, this is born from the ashes. Something drastic has happened. I think of the Defenders going into season 3 of Daredevil. Something crazy,
Yeah,
something outrageous has happened. And this is us like seeing him built back up. The only thing I've seen so far is something bad happened to him. A year passed. All he did was stop being Daredevil and just
yep,
said, okay, I'm just going to do this and I'm just not going to do anything. And everything that has happened so far, like I said, it's been breadcrumbs setting up. Episode 5 happens, throws a wrench in everything. You literally put a hard pause on everything, but you still
yeah,
tried to tie in some of those little breadcrumbs. And then you lead straight to this where it's like the darkest episode
yep,
so far. Like this is the darkest episode. Like it starts off with Muse. Like it starts off
hmm
with telling you like there's a serial killer, 60 people. And you
yeah.
even said so yourself during the video. Like you were like, yeah, there's
Hold
that's
on.
no easy feat. Like that's nothing. Like that's not a small number. It's 60 people. That's like mass murder. And goes unnoticed, of course, because New York and all that stuff. But even the way that they paint this episode is so dark. Like it's literally like you feel it too with the music choices, with the tone, the look. Probably my favorite as far as the cinematography goes of all the episodes.
Yeah, I
Probably my
love
favorite. And it's
I
because of
love the
Muse.
yeah, and I love the like the cutting between Daredevil, Muse, and Fisk and Adam. Like you, because I mean, I said it in the beginning, like they were always two sides of the same coin, right?
Yeah.
They exist honestly for each other. So it's kind of cool seeing that they're going through pretty much the same thing at the same time, both physically and in their head.
While I agree with you with the coin side, I actually think it hurts.
You do
It
think so?
hurts the final product. And the reason being is because they waited 6 episodes to finally introduce Muse. They
Yeah,
waited 6 episodes to finally get to Adam. And then instead of giving them their own time for those threads to come together naturally, they said, no, share the time. That's this whole episode. And they tried to get artistic with it. But it's too late for that. If you had maybe a couple more episodes, I think it would have been I would agree with you. It would have been more impactful. It would have been like, oh man, that was really beautiful. But it's too late in the game. This is episode 6. You got 7, 8, 9. You got 3 episodes left to conclude all of this, or at least wrap up a lot of stuff that they've set up. And it feels like they sort of like, oh, we're setting it up, we're setting it up, we're setting it up. Oh, we're gonna set it up a little more, but we'll tell you more later.
Yeah.
It's like they're juggling and they're trying to balance all these plates at once. And the things that are really cool that we're getting excited about, those things are suffering because of their lack of care, because of their carelessness to carve out a good story, to use the time that they have allotted to paint,
And I think,
like these scenes, these like you said, the so I'd written down, I was taking notes while I was watching it, and the juxtaposition, like you said, between um Fisk and Adam and Muse and Daredevil, it's seeing those mirror images of them, but it's also them finally like I said, if we're going to talk about the artistic side of it, it's them finally unleashing themselves.
yep.
Like they're unchained. The whole episode is Wilson, at these parties, he can't talk to them like he wants to. He's, trying to,
He can't get his way like he normally can.
yeah, if that's what he's even doing, because they've painted it so weird. They've painted him weird too. Like there's things that he does throughout the episode where it's like, who is this character? Like I don't
still
know
don't even
who
know
this
his
character
motivation.
is.
Like, what's the whole
That's
point of
what I mean.
running for mayor, right? I still don't know.
Yeah.
Is it just to do this port project? Okay, maybe you should have just. And again, that's where you mentioned time a lot. Of like, yes, I think they needed more time per episode to build up, even if it's just more exposition. Like, I will totally take that because a lot of the Netflix there's a lot of exposition in it, but it was
But there
meaningful.
was
It was
story.
impactful.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
Yes.
like you build up, like maybe you have Buck as your Wesley 2.0, right? And maybe they're having their moment like, dude, why are you running for mayor? I want to do this. But then it might be clashing with whatever Vanessa has planned for the port, right? Because apparently that's supposed to be like how I gathered, it was like a no man's land, right? Like that was off limits to everybody or a neutral ground,
Yeah.
right? For all the families to like not own any part of it. Again, I wanted to see that because then that could be the reason why they go to therapy as a business thing and not, oh, he went away. I mean, that could be it too,
Yeah.
right? He
They're
away,
taking it
goes
personal
away.
versus it's just business.
Yeah, like he goes away. Like you could still build up, and that just could be more layers or whatever. Because I still don't believe for 1 second Vanessa would cheat with the guy on Fisk because of everything
That's what
we've
I'm
known. So,
Yes.
and
That's
again,
what
like,
I'm saying though, is the
yeah,
way that they have chosen to write these characters. They had everything at their fingertips.
yep,
Everything. The story was already made for them.
yep,
All they had to do was continue the characters, but this is an issue of what they do nowadays with stories. They tear down legacy
they want,
characters,
well,
and
new
they
showrunners want to be their own.
bastardize them, and they're like, "Oh, what if they did this? Wouldn't this be cool?" And it's like, no. Like,
And that's why reading comics is kind of hard too. Like it just goes from like one run, it's like okay, and then another creative team comes over, even when it's like the artist changes, but then another creative team comes over, and it's just like this doesn't, it's not in line with the character, but okay, and you just deal with it and just see what happens. You would hope that the editor in the room would be like, yeah, but
yeah, like,
you know,
because the editor has the vision. It's
yeah,
just, as a showrunner, should have the vision of, no, we're gonna stay true to the character. It's like the decisions, the more quote unquote moral. I wouldn't even say morals. I would say principles, or the modus operandi of some of the characters is just like all over the place. It's like
yeah,
they're literally just throwing darts, and they're like, okay, well, that's sticking, let's do that. And it's just like there's a couple of things I wanted to touch on. Just going through the episode. So the BB report at the beginning, that guy with the line about the cops. Oh, the cops don't do anything. The issue I have with the way that they've portrayed the cops in here, I get that there's dirty cops. They
Yeah.
need to have the opposite side and show good cops. Like we've talked about in the past, you need Brett. You need someone of that
Maroney.
caliber. Right now, you just have Cherry, but he just shows up and then he's just like, oh,
Yeah.
it's like, no, like you need someone who's like, who believes in the good. That was what was so good about
I mean,
the original series
yeah, we had dirty cops
when
before.
Foggy would go visit Brett, he'd be like, like, oh, you're doing this, and they would like talk to each other, and even Matt was like, no, like Brett's good, like there's good people. Even Matt was like, no, there are still good cops. Like
Yeah.
they have not shown that once throughout. They have just been like,
All
cops are bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, no, like where's the hope? Like that's the whole thing with Matt, is like, yes, I do this because sometimes the system fails, but I still believe in the system. I still believe that there are good, and we need to do that. And that's something that's lost. The one thing I will say that I enjoyed at the beginning was Matt praying. I've been
Mhm.
saying it for God knows how many episodes. We need to see his Catholicism. We need to have that. It's such a huge integral part to him. And watching him pray, like at the beginning, like that was a beautiful scene, just watching him do that. And like you said, it's like having the recap and the flashbacks of everything, but that's what we need, is those moments where he's having that, I turn to my faith, I go to my faith, but I'm also struggling with my faith because of what I'm being called to do, or I'm feeling called to do. And the thing that irked me the most about when they finally showed that is Heather's reaction. So like when she was asking about, oh, you were in the robbery and stuff like that, and he was like, no, like I knew I was going to be okay. And she was like, faith. And then she said it in like a condescending, like
But see, I
eye
think
rolling tone. But then after that, um she brings up another thing with the where she says, oh, she no, 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 she doesn't say that. She says faith afterwards. Before that, she said, you pray still. And it was like sort of mocking his faith,
yeah,
like, oh, you still pray, like, and I found that interesting, especially for her character, who's supposed to be a therapist or
yeah,
a psychologist. Yeah, I don't know,
something.
nice. Yeah, one of those. And you
I
would
never
think
know
she
the
would be
difference,
more
honestly.
open to so a therapist is pretty much anyone can be a therapist. You can be licensed to an extent. Psychologist is more of a doctor who can prescribe you medication.
Sure.
um but the yeah, just
Still,
like her attitude towards him is like real weird, especially because it's like, he's like sharing stuff about himself and whatnot. She's just like, ugh, like whatever,
yeah.
like okay, like just writes it off. And I'm like,
I
and
do
then
think,
she wants to tell him about like, oh, you need to be opening up more and stuff like that. And I'm like, well, he's trying to right there, and you're just like, yeah,
yeah,
whatever.
I do think the writing of her hasn't been great. But to clarify for Muse's death toll is at least 60. The Battle of New York for the Chitauri invasion was 74 civilian deaths, and Loki killed 80. So Muse is up there with Loki
So
and
he's
the
hitting
entire
Loki numbers.
and the Loki was 80, and the whole Chitauri invasion was 74. So Muse is right there. I mean,
Oh, you said that the first thing that came to mind was Jake Busey and the Frighteners.
like, jeez.
Well, more than Starkweather. See, so you're saying Muse has a body
I mean,
count. But yeah, so like, speaking of Muse, like I said, dude, like his intro was so cool. Just showing
Yep.
him like you don't even see his face yet. You just see like something in the you don't even see him. You just see these two girls walking, but you get the gist of it from the tone. And then like as soon as they go up and they're like, "Oh hey, can we take a picture?" All that stuff, and just like seeing him do like that slow turn like that in
Yeah.
the mask was like, oh, like oh yes, that and his music.
Hmm.
I love his music. I was like, oh
Yeah.
yes, like where was this all season?
See,
Like
I just wish
this
this
is what you
episode.
tease at the end of your first episode, at the end
Yeah.
of your second episode to say, hey, here's the overall storyline. Here's what's coming. Not not waiting until episode 6 of 9
Yeah.
to be like, here he is, guys.
The only way you do that, right, is if you're just setting up Muse for the potential future, right? Like you don't just start them and then conclude them in like like I don't know, like
But that goes back to what we talked about a couple episodes ago too. Is I had we had theorized, what if they're gonna do a thing where it's all these stories that we were promised is sort of like what they did in the original Daredevil series, where it was like they only get like a 2 or 3 episode arc,
yeah,
and then they conclude, and then they go to the
yeah,
next thing and the next thing. Because I was like, if it's only going to be 9 episodes, that's the only way they're going to be able to conclude these things, is they're going to have to give them quick story arcs. But that's what's hurting them.
yeah.
It's like,
But I think
no,
that's
like
a little
these are good stories, like that could be told,
yeah,
but
but and
you
I think it's
rushed them.
disjointed because White Tiger got 2 episodes, right? Unless you count.
Mm,
So like you had your pilot ish, right? Your premiere, I guess you can call it,
yeah,
which just set up stuff, and then you go into White Tiger for 2 and 3. He gets murdered at the end of episode 3, and then you kind of deal with the fallout in episode 4, him going to see Frank, and I believe episode 4 concludes with Muse, but then we got a disjointed episode 5. Like if episode 6 followed episode 4, I I mean it would have been great because then you would have got the you establish Muse at the end, you get this episode, and then you can get the next episode, which we've seen, so we know what happens, but won't
yeah.
spoil it for anyone. But yeah, like if you wanted to do like an Andor setup where each like you have 12 episodes and you're gonna have 3 episode, 4 episode like arcs, that's fine. But I don't think they did that here, or at least it
No,
didn't
they,
seem like.
like I
Yeah,
said, they pulled it out of their ass.
yeah,
Like they literally
and
just they're. I feel like they wrote as they went,
we'll
and
see.
they
And
were
I don't
like,
know
"Oh,
how,
let's just do this."
and I don't know how much blame it is on the current showrunners as opposed to the previous ones, because like I said, they filmed a lot, and then that's when Feige like fired everybody because Cox and
They still
D'Onofrio
rolled out
went
the
to him.
product, dude.
Yeah,
They still
and then
rolled out the
that's
product.
what I'm saying. Like they could
That's
have
the
just,
issue.
they could have just been like, you know what, we'll take the loss on all this. We'll just bring in a whole new team and we'll start from scratch. But I think they try to, and this might have been the Disney side of it, trying to salvage what they can because they didn't want to take a huge loss.
Yeah,
And I mean, we get a Frankenstein monster product, like
which only
stitched
hurts the
together.
brand more. It
Yeah,
only hurts the brand more,
I
and it
mean,
hurts the product
look what
too.
happened with
That's what
Captain America.
sucks.
Look what happened with
Yeah,
Captain America.
yeah.
Like, how much money did they spend on reshoots because they didn't have faith in what they did? And then, I still enjoyed that film. Don't get me wrong, but you can tell it was put together. Like there was, I mean, the camera work in the Celestials dogfight was amazing, but I mean, you could tell like, it was it could have been better. Should have been better.
It should have been.
Yeah,
It could have been, yes, but it
yeah.
should have been. Again,
I mean,
it's staying faithful to what the character is. There is one thing I need to touch base on this episode, and it's something that I've brought up in the past, but it is relevant now and it is very visible in here. This little freaking girl, dude. Like, oh,
nothing. Hold on,
oh.
but nothing against the actress. I think she
No,
played
yes.
she
She
was she
plays
actually she's
annoying little girl,
you know what?
annoying basic modern little girl very well.
I don't know how many acting credits she has. I'm gonna look it up. 'Cause I'm curious. Because if this is like her first. Speaking of, have you seen What is it, Adolescence? Or
No, and I have no interest
honestly,
in it either. People are hyping that show up like crazy, and I'm just
so
nah, I'm good.
to go off on a tangent real quick, I'm not really crazy about a whole show or movie just being a oneer. Like I like scenes that do it, like Daredevil did with the hallway scene.
Yeah.
10 minutes. The whole thing is like each episode's a oneer, and I'm like, I don't care for it, to be
Like a
honest.
one-track shot.
Yeah,
Ugh.
I mean,
They're
but
trying to bring that back.
the child in that show, I think it was his first thing he's ever done, and he was amazing. What happened here? Hold on. No, what am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing.
So while you're looking that up, let me
Figuring
tell
things
you
out.
my gripes
I'm stupid.
with this girl. Wrote down a couple of her lines. Don't tell me how to be. This is what he would have wanted.
Oh no,
Someone
the
doing
dialogue
something
was
for once. I
bad.
hate that therapy stuff. The police killed my uncle. I'm not going to them. What can you do? How about anything at all? My bad for thinking you cared. My uncle said, don't rely on anyone to do what you can do for yourself. He was right. Like,
It's all
ugh.
the dialogue was bad. She's been in 6 things.
6 things.
Yeah, total. I mean, I think she's great. Like as an
She did
actress,
great at
she's
annoying
great.
me. She
She,
did.
I think. I
She
mean,
got under my skin.
you can
So
only
mean.
do what. I mean, the dialogue's bad,
Yeah.
right? Like it's so cliche, right? It's like,
Well, it also like I
and
said, it
most.
goes back to what we've talked. Like I said, the reason it bothers me. So, number of reasons. One being I hate the way that that writers write today's youth.
They can't do it.
It's they can't, and
Just leave
nobody
it out.
talks like that.
No, just leave it
Kids
out.
do not talk
No,
like that.
we don't need it.
Yeah.
I'm
So
sorry.
there's that. The second thing that I have an issue with. So you had said that she eventually takes over the mantle
She
of
becomes a
White
white tiger.
Tiger.
Yes.
She does not have my vote of confidence for that, and it's because of how
Well,
she carries herself.
she's older in
Because
the
her uncle,
comics.
yeah,
Yeah.
but you know what I mean. Like this isn't a character I would root for. This isn't one that I'm looking to like. Oh, like this. I can see the qualities of a hero
Yeah.
in this individual. It's like no, she was whiny,
No.
she was annoying, and I get
Should,
some
yeah.
kids are like that, but this is like when I think of a kid like that, I think of Harley from Iron Man 3.
Mm-hmm.
Dorky gets picked on,
Yep.
but you can see like he's got the makings of a hero, a Peter
That's your origin.
Parker.
That's your origin
Like
story.
like a Peter Parker, a Kamala Khan, like they're kids at their heart, but they got layers to them. This girl is just one dimensional. Again, I'm talking about the character. I'm not talking about the actress.
Yeah.
The character itself, herself, is just like serves nothing. Like when Muse had her on the table, I was like, oh god, please end it. And on top of that, it would have served as 2 things. One, get this character out of here. 2, it also would have set something up. Matt failed again.
Yep.
Especially if we keep the beginning of the episode the way it was, where he's seeing Foggy while he's praying, he's having all these things. Imagine if, boom, Foggy shows up right at the end of the episode because he failed. He didn't let this little girl die, but she dies while he was in the midst of trying to save her, just like when he got into the fight with Bullseye at the beginning. Instead of being there with Foggy in his last moments, he was in
Yep.
a fight. Same thing, he was in a fight, yes, but I guess now that I say this, I guess you can say that's why he stopped the fight to go help her and save her. And he's like, I'm here. But like again, it feels like a lot of the stuff is just unearned. It's nothing has been built up for any of these moments to pay off. It's all ham-fisted. It's all like it literally feels like we wrote this the morning of and handed it in and said, "Yep, it's the final product. Let's go ahead and do it." And it's just suffering for it. And again, this episode suffers from episode 5, but it also just suffers overall from the lack of care to attention to detail, to the story, to just anything cohesive. And like you said, we have seen the next episode because we've been putting this off for a couple of weeks.
Well,
but you know what?
I got sick. You got sick.
Yeah, like, and you know, we'll get to it eventually, but it's just like I said, at this point, I'm glad we only have one more episode to look forward to. And honestly, they're either gonna wrap it up good or they're not going to. But this last and final episode needs to be a banger. I said it in previous video that these next few need to be bangers, and they haven't been. They've not been bangers. They've had moments where they could really be like, oh man, you know, this could have been really something special, but it just fell flat. And now I think it's literally going to be a rush to the end, a rush to tie up as much as they can and hope they get a second season. But
I mean,
we'll see what happens. Now, if I was to rate this episode out of 10,
technically we are getting a second season just because they split the first one. But
that's a big technicality. Yeah. See, we're getting one, splitting but are we getting left over? Or are we getting something brand new that this is?
I think we're getting something brand new, or like judging at least from the set photos of his suit, it's his Shadowland suit. So I don't know. I don't know if they're going to adapt that because that's when I believe he takes over as leader of the Hand. If I remember, I don't know.
Oh but, wow! So that
so I can't remember. It's been a while. I didn't even enjoy. Overall, I mean, I thought that that miniseries was okay. It just was okay.
So, what do you give this episode out of 10?
Well, I loved all the MUSE aspects. Again, I probably like a 7.
Okay.
I think, and if you watch this one immediately after episode 4, I think that's a good. Like you could probably watch 4, 6, and 7, and you probably have a good like mini movie, right? Of just MUSE. And I think that would work. I haven't obviously watched all 3 of those in a row, but that'd be kind of cool to see stitch those together and see how that like flows. But
if it makes it better,
yeah, who knows? I mean, but then you might have all the background stuff with like if it was just about Daredevil and MUSE, it probably would. But you'd have to eliminate some of the other stuff, right? Like edit out the task force stuff, or actually you'd actually have to keep that. But
yeah. And there's nothing wrong with keeping it. They just need to elaborate more into it because all they do is just like, you know, we dance around it. Okay, we're gonna drop it like all in this episode for like 5 minutes, and then all of a sudden you're supposed to be like, oh yeah, this has been around forever. I know the whole backstory and all that stuff. It's like,
yeah, I think a solid 7. I think MUSE elevates it because I mean, like I said, that was the stuff I was really looking forward to at the start of the season. And I mean, I think that the MUSE this episode delivers because it was really it's what I was hoping for.
Yeah. So I was leaning towards a 5, but then you reminded me of MUSE, so I'm gonna give it a 6. 6 out of 10. Like I said, and you said it perfectly. MUSE saved this episode. Like without any of the MUSE stuff in here, like the episode would have just been bland. It would have been the first couple of episodes, just nothing happening. You know, we have an overall story, but other than that, like nothing else going on. This one at least was semi-engaging, minus some of the pain points that I had mentioned earlier. But I mean, other than that, I mean, it's MUSE. I mean, it's even the fight between them. I was like, oh, like yeah, like he's actually keeping up with him, and like it's just watching them go back and forth was really cool. So I mean, yeah, that's where I stand on that. I have nothing else to say about this episode. That's all I
think
have.
yeah. I mean, I think it sums it up. I think it sums it up.
So,
Nicely.
anything else for you? Anything else for you?
I mean, like overall,
Episode
I'm
6.
still enjoying the show overall, but there are things that I, as a fan of the character and of the Netflix shows, I would still. And I've been taking notes mostly in my head about maybe what I would have liked to have seen. So maybe like I'm gonna wait after we watch the finale and then see how it or if they stick the landing, and then I will go back and like give my you know guy on this video 2 cents worth of you know my knowledge of anything creative writing just extends from like double majoring in professional creative writing and getting like 30 credits shy of getting my double major in it. That's my extensive knowledge on it.
Don't forget your extensive knowledge of all your movie watching too, man.
Maybe I should go back and finish that.
You should, dude. Also, at the same time, who needs a degree? Who needs
I've got
one?
I've got like 4 of them.
Writers in our nature.
I've got maybe
That's
I
why
should
we
put
do
them
this
on my wall. I've got 4 of them. Maybe what's 2 more, right?
All right. Well, that concludes episode 6. Until then, 7. We will see you eventually.
Yeah.